piety versus inner communion. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Last week, we contemplated the well-known story of Martha and Mary. And this is the excerpt from the Bible. "Lord," she cried, "doesn't it matter to you that my sister has left me to do all this serving alone? Please ask her to help me." But Jesus answered, "Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her." Traditionally, this story has been offered to show the two classic approaches to salvation. The first through action, and the second through prayer. The excuse of the Marthas of this world has always been, the Church needs its Marthas too. Treatises, moreover, have been written to justify the Martha approach to piety, praising her self-sacrifice as perhaps an even higher demonstration of devotion. Thus, do the unmeditative workers in religion try to justify themselves. Yet, the fact remains that Jesus rebuked Martha. Elsewhere, moreover, he spoke of the virtue of feeding the hungry, curing the sick, and housing those who were homeless. It wasn't that he disapproved of serving people. Wrong attitude was the object of his criticism. What he was criticizing was forgetfulness of the true goal of right spiritual action. Good deeds outwardly, without inner communion with God, will result in good karma, but will not bring final freedom from all karma. The path to inner freedom was described by Paramahansa Yogananda in these words: "Be always calmly active and actively calm," as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter. "He who is not shaken by anxiety during times of sorrow, nor elated during times of happiness, who is free from egoic desires and their attendant fear and anger, such a one is of steady discrimination. Do your duty in life," so counsels this great scripture elsewhere, "but never lose sight of him to whom all action should be dedicated." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. What a joy to be here together, celebrating the light. The topic of this week is on service, on activity, and it's a very dear topic to me. In the ceremony that we will read later, there is a passage that says, "The promise has been given, the divine light sent to earth anew has given us the power to become the sons of God." And I would like for all of us this morning to keep these words in our heart, to really feel that we deserve this light and that we are children of the light. We have listened to the reading that AASHTA has just read on the fact that it wasn't what Martha did for what Jesus didn't praise her, but it was about her attitude. And in the attitude on the spiritual path, it is fundamental that we have the right attitude, because He, God, doesn't really see all what we do, but what He looks at is our heart, and that is important to Him because we are His children. The title of today's reading is Activity versus Inner Communion, and this versus, this or, makes us understand that there might be one or the other, but our Master Paramhansa Yogananda has given us two wings to fly. He has given us one wing, which is service, and the other wing, which is meditation. And with both wings, we can fly. And in order to take off, we really need to adjust and balance these two wings well, because otherwise we cannot take off. And this morning, this question came to me, which of course in the first place I asked myself, but then also to you. I asked, in this lifetime, what kind of wings do I want to have? What kind of bird do I want to be? What kind of flying being? So we could think about a little bird that is jumping from one tree to the tree to the other, eating a little insect here and is joyous. But this little bird always remains in his environment. Or do I want to be a colibri maybe, who is moving his wings so fast that we cannot even see the movement? It's also called a drone because he moves so fast, but he doesn't stand still. Or we might think about a pappagallo, who's very colorful and beautiful, but he doesn't use his wings a lot. This kind of bird repeats everything he hears, and he repeats it very well. I have been to Brazil sometimes with my brothers, and there are these papagali, this kind of birds, and it's incredible. Sometimes they can really repeat even the tone of the voice. Or we might think about a kind of bird that migrates. There's a place in the lagoon of Venice. I don't know if with all this climatic change it's still happening, but they come from Siberia, these birds, flying 7,000-8,000 kilometers to find their habitat there next to Venice. But these kind of birds, they make a lot of noise. I don't know how this is what they do with their noise, and they are just very noisy birds. Or we could think about, and this is where I want to get to, we can think of eagles too. And eagles we only find high up in the mountains from 1,800 meters above, and they live in the silence of the mountains. They have very big wings, up to 2 meters long, and when you look at them, they don't move their wings a lot. It's as if they were using the currents of the air to let themselves fly, and it's really interesting to see that their movement is very inward. They don't waste energy, and looking at them, they seem to be almost still in the air, but they are active. They have such an accurate sight that they can see what they want to hunt up to 2-3 kilometers of distance, and when they choose it, then they become arrows and they go directly on their goal, on the animal that they want to hunt, and then they take it again up high into the air. And I have had the gift to see eagles. I used to spend long periods of time in the mountains, in the Dolomite Mountains. I don't know if you know them, but maybe yes, if you have seen these mountains, there's a very special type of rock that when the sun goes down, there's an angle of its rays that when the sun meets, it says, when the sun kisses these rocks, there is this very intense red color that cannot be explained. You need to see it. If you haven't been to the Dolomite Mountains, you should go because they are so beautiful. And there's one mountain that I like a lot in this valley, which is made of one single rock. It's called Pelmo, and we know that mountains, it depends on the angle how you look at them, they change. And from one side, from one valley, which is Val Sordana, it seems to be as if this single rock becomes two. It's Pelmo and Pelmetto. Whereas from the other side, you really see a single mountain, a single rock only. And it's called also the chair of the Eternal Father of God, because the rock seems to be a chair. And I know Narya knows this mountain too. He often visits there. And for me, it's like a little Himalaya. And sharing with a Gurubai, he said, but there are no saints there. And I said, yes, it's true, there are no saints. But I've always seen these mountains as if they were cathedrals, churches, where there's silence, strength, stability. And for me, they are very dear. And we know that the mountains can be beautiful, very beautiful, but also dangerous, because you could be up there and from one moment to the other, the currents change and you find yourself in a thunderstorm, in maybe the fog or snow, and you get lost. That's why the mountains are dangerous. And it's this life, this earth, this world is a little bit like this. Nature is duality, and that's why we have the possibility of creation. There's a plus and a minus, and we don't need to go very far, because even if we look at this body, the body talks to us about duality. We need 2 feet in order to stand on our feet. We have 2 legs to walk. We have 2 arms to hands, to ears, to eyes, 2 brain hemispheres, but we have 1 spine and 1 heart that beats, and a great nervous system, a fantastic nervous system that gives us the possibility to become really the sons of God. We can experiment and feel the power that is not ours, but that is from whom created us. And I'm sure that in these days, this weekend, or maybe those of you who have been here for a week, I know there's also the Ananda Yoga training module for the whole week here. And in Ananda Yoga, what we do is returning always to our center, to the spine, and from there express the asanas that we want to do. And maybe in this case, now we could think a moment of Garudasana, the eagle, seeing that we talked about the eagle. And it's really like this. You enter into your center and then you express the position, the asana, crossing like this, your legs, your arms. And then when you are in the pose, you are active. You open the currents, the energies. There's life. Everything participates. There is presence. And then when you get out of the pose, you open your wings and then you come back to your center. And if we could use this principle in life, that asks us to do many things. If we think also about moms in this Mother's Day, they never stop. There's a continuous work, way of serving. But if we could take a moment in the morning, in the evening, to center in meditation, but if we could get into the center before our movement, before our work, before our service, and if we could return to this, our center, during the day, during our activity, then we could really give another value to life, because movement is part of our lives. We are always in movement, even when we sleep. And if we can be in our center, then we can affirm, at the center of life's storms, I am serene. Even if the life storms hurl around us, and we know that in this period of time there are storms all around us, but if we remain in our center, anchored, then we can feel that we are protected. And it's been 4 years ago, in the month of May, when the winds of my life were very strong, and I was asked to get out of Ananda after 17 years that I had lived here. And it's been a big test. My mom has been diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer, and knowing how serious the situation was, I felt that it was my right action, my dharma, my next step, to go and be with her. There was a lot of resistance. It wasn't easy, because I knew when I would leave, but I didn't know when I would come back, because in these cases you never know. So in this trip that I have made accompanying her in her last trip, I had the possibility to also meet very dear people, friends with whom I shared many things, also yoga. And one particular person said that she was quite disillusioned from me, also angry, because I had just left that life to move to Ananda. And this old friend of mine expressed her disappointment, because we used to have an important friendship. So she told me everything that she had done in these 17 years, and she said, I have integrated yoga into my life. She works in a multinational company. She is the one who helps people and the staff if they are well or not well. So human resources department, she organizes the holidays and so on. And so in her work she integrated yoga, and she gave also the staff instruments like hatha yoga, meditation, mindfulness, team building, in order to feel the harmony of being feeling better with yourself, so that the work becomes more harmonious for oneself and also for the whole company, of course. And within me I thought, I really wanted to think about what she had said. And I thought, but for me, in those years, it was not possible to integrate yoga. For me, yoga, it wasn't sufficient to have the morning and evening meditation or practicing yoga on my yoga mat. For me, it was important to live a life where everyone looks into the same direction, where there was the intention, the common intention for serving people who speak the same language, which is not Italian, English, or German, but it's the language of the heart that words cannot express. And for me, it was a true necessity to come and live here. It was not so much my will, but my necessity. The master talks about 3 darshana, or philosophies. There are 6, but he talks about 3, Samkhya, Yoga and Vedanta. Samkhya is why, Yoga how, and Vedanta what. And the father of yoga, Patanjali, gives sutras to all of them. And for Samkhya he says, Hatha Yoga Anuशासनम, and says, now we come to the study of yoga. And for me, this now is very, very important, because it shows that before yoga there must be something else, a comprehension of this world of duality, that for every high there's a low, for every night there's a day. And what we really try to find, our essence, will never be satisfied in this world of duality, because all of us, all human beings, we look for happiness, like this little bird that is hopping from one branch to the other. Yes, it's hopping around trying to find a satisfaction here and there, but then in the end it's not sufficient anymore. And it's not only about this life, it's many lifetimes. Master said that we as souls, we have lived in the mineral realm, in the vegetable world, in the animal world, to arrive here in a human body. And before that we have passed many incarnations, and even when we have reached the human level, we go through many lives, many experiences, and they're all perfect, all right. But then we come to a point where we are not satisfied anymore, when it's not sufficient anymore. And then we understand the why we want to practice yoga. And when you understand the why, you understand that there's nothing we need to do. We don't do yoga, but paradoxically, we just take away everything we are, all false identifications, in order to shine in this light that we are as children of God. And we have had an example of how these 2 wings can be balanced. An example, a great example. And it's our founder of Ananda, Swami Kriyananda. His life was a life of service, of intense service, and of meditation. And he balanced very well his 2 wings, becoming this eagle. He had 2 desires. One, to find God, and to share him with others. And everything he did, from his music, books, and we know many other things, but also founding another communities, building a place where we all coming here as guests, living here as residents, we have the opportunity to discover who we are in reality. It's a spiritual laboratory, huge, and there's so much beauty, not because there is perfection here, but because there is an intention behind the action, behind our activity, to help each other. And so this little bird needs to get out of his comfort zone, this little bird. A colibri needs to slow down. A pappagallo needs to stop repeating and start experiencing. And a very loud bird needs to become more silent. And so we all can become eagles, because we have the potential, all of us. And the Master came to tell us that we have this great potential. And I want to read to you from Whispers from Eternity. But before, let's sit up straight. Let's sit with our buttocks stable, feet stable, spine straight. And try to take a double breath, tense the whole body, low, medium, high tension, vibrate, and relax. Again, tense, low, medium, high tension, and relax. One more time, tense, hold the tension, and relax. And feel these currents of energy that from the periphery enter into your spine, and from there to the spiritual eye, and try to remain there where the noble part of yourself resides, your true part. And let's listen to this whisper from eternity from Master. Make me an eagle of progress, soaring far above narrow lanes of bigotry. Call me to soar ever higher and higher, far above all clouds of earthly pettiness. With the sharp talons of my soul, I will tear at the little squabbling birds of misery which prey upon mankind. I will free my mind's skies from the buzzards of cynicism which prey on carcasses of dead hopes. I will soar on balanced wings of wholesome living, high up into the finest regions of divine perception, high above the hurricanes of earthly preoccupation. I will soar higher and higher to those unimagined heights where thou alone dost dwell. Make me thy eagle of ever upward progress, soaring higher and higher toward thee. And I wish you a good flight to everyone, and happy Sunday.